has started. Just somebody type something in chat if I'm audible, and hopefully the level of my voice is loud enough that you can hear me over the music and the title screen. I am watching myself broadcast myself on Twitch, but there's like a 30-second delay, I believe. And it's a little bit annoying. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to play in windowed mode. I'm so glad you guys could make it. So, Mr. Clint, I recognize you from the forums, and Oliveria. Oh, Unforked. Unforked is here as well. Hello. Did you guys catch my spiffy offline banner? I didn't. It's kind of rushed. Ready, let's start a new game and then we can get to chatting. Let's see. Let's start in the jungle this time. Last time I was at New Antipodia. Let's start with a stalwart supply because I don't think I'm going to find a lot of hematite in the jungle. So I figured, I mean, I could be talking to you guys, but I figured maybe we could all talk to, like, it's like sitting around a coffee table and just gossiping, right? I don't. I figure all of us are hardened Clockwork Empires vets. I'm actually not checking how many people are in channel right now. Maybe there are people who are not familiar with Clockwork Empires, and if you are, feel free to pipe up, and I'll be happy to explain stuff, I guess. Otherwise, we're going to be talking a lot of inside baseball. So one thing I will mention, yeah, I think everyone seems to be up in arms over the prospective changes to crops. Oliveria, you're now experiencing the headache. Oh, geez. Sorry. Burst of sound. Oliveria, you are now experiencing the headache I experienced the first time crops were changed. When the kitchen and food system, okay, so we started a new colony here in the jungle. It used to be that foods had a food value, right? Depending on how good food it was. And it was a numeric value. And then colonists had a hunger value. And the hunger value, you would go up. It would go up when you didn't eat, and it would go down when you ate food. And it would go down more when you ate better food. And whoops. And oh my, what did I just? Okay, I'm confusing myself now. Of course, the first thing I want to build is carpentry. And I'll build in this nice. Wow, this is a nice big flat area here. All right. Carpentry. Yeah, so when the food system changed from a numeric value to just colonists want to eat once a day, at that point we had extensively documented the effect of food and food values and stuff on the wiki. Oh, and then everything changed. It's like, down this documentation. First thing I need to do is I need to make sure you know how to hunt. Yeah, oh my goodness. Oh, by the way, just in case you guys were wondering, I've ticked the box that will allow me to possibly save this stream and then re-upload it or export it to YouTube, so people who don't catch it live can, I don't know, they want to watch if they want to watch this stream later on YouTube. I guess maybe I'll experiment with that option as well. So here I am building the carpentry, and of course the stockpile is directly adjacent to the carpentry. I did pull the food values from the food EDB, Alvaria. That's where we got the hard numeric values. So we went to great trouble, I and a lot of the other wiki editors, we went to great trouble going through each individual food entry to make sure it had the correct food value. And then food values just went right out the window. Oops. Let's see. Next thing I want to build is a farm. there's a pit that makes maximum size farm just not possible. I guess I'll start. There we go. Zachariah Iron Boot, here you go. Yeah, so I kind of get what the devs are saying about food changes, and part of it is that like this setup I'm doing right here now is almost mandatory. Like you must, for maximum efficiency, you must put your farm directly adjacent to your stockpile, and then you want to put your kitchen also directly adjacent to the stockpile, and you'll probably want to start your carpentry directly adjacent to the stockpile, right? So that's already the core nugget of your town, and in almost all cases, like that's like maximum. That'll minimize the walking distance, which minimizes the colonist hauling overhead. I don't know that maybe the upcoming crop changes will do something to shake that up, but as it stands, it feels like there's this like there are certain things that you do for maximum efficiency all the time. And I don't like having like boring QB buildings, right? But those are probably also most space efficient. Sometimes I make them a little bit non-rectilinear just for the heck of it. So superstructure is done. Carpentry doesn't get a crew. Is there cabbage? Nope, there's no cabbage in Sogwood. There is chili, yeah. I don't think chili can grow in the temperate biome, right? Corn is a good starter crop, and actually there's no wheat in this biome, so I might actually stick with corn for the duration of the stream. Like sugarcane is, unless you've got production really up and running and you can take advantage of the sugarcane to make like the more complicated foods and like booze, like rum and stuff. Yeah, it always seems a bit weird asking people, like, sugar refines into sugar loaf, which is also not directly edible, right? Sugar loaf is a further ingredient. So it's not like wheat flour, which is like, you get wheat and then you can turn it right into bread. Sugar loaf and sugar loaf products require an extra step of refinement. Anyway, better get my kitchen modules in. Two ovens should do for now. And let's get some windows. I do feel I would like some more variety in the decor. Right now, windows are the obvious choice for all decor because they're so cheap, right? They're like one plank and it offsets one condition right away. So of course you build windows all the time. I won't bother working up the production chain to produce the mounted animal heads or like the different furniture, like the wall shrines and the cabinets. Those are also similarly cheap, but they occupy your like valuable interior square footage, which you need to place beds and actual functional modules and stuff. Whereas windows go on a wall and they don't occupy any interior space. Of course you're going to use windows to decorate everything, right? Yes, your colonists can live on chili alone. Yeah, chili is like chili is like cabbage, right? It's high labor, low crop yield, high growth rate. So part of the reason that the stated reason the devs removed cabbage was because people saw cabbage as sort of the default starter crop because it's a very simple crop, and people have it in their heads. Cabbage is easy to grow, and they look at it and they see, oh, it's got a high growth rate, so of course you're gonna grow cabbage, and that got them stuck in this loop, this starvation loop where they could the labor needed to make enough cabbage prevented them from doing other things in the colony, but the cabbage itself is not productive enough, so people would inevitably starve because people who aren't versed in the intricacies of the food system, they don't have any information, right? I mean, a lot of the information we know is gained through experience. And did I not? Yeah, no. Okay, we've got wood. Actually, I need to looking for stone. Also, food. Yeah, so when I start getting more immigrants, I think I might put them first into the military crew, just because I think hunting is quite important for keeping. It'll be an important source of food, although forageables have been buffed, and also crops don't spoil anymore, and crop production at the kitchen is doubled. So I don't think food will be an issue, but it was never really an issue in this biome anyway. The jungle biome has always been it's easier to live off the land in the jungle biome, whereas the temperate biome had a better source of, I believe, minerals, surface minerals, and timber, right? Cabbages. Do I have any stone? I have very little stone. Pardon me. This is rhyolite, right? Okay. It's nice and close. Whoops. That's not what I want to do. Oh, there are berries here. I accidentally ordered foraged. There we go. Well, it's nice to know there's clay here. I think the thing about the jungle is you'll notice these clumps of trees. Okay, there's a lot of them. I got a good spot in the jungle. So this tropical broadleaf is a good source of wood, but there's other plants like this one, the palm. So it's not a coconut palm, it's just palm. It doesn't produce coconuts, and you chop it down for timber, but it doesn't produce a lot of timber. It's a poor source of timber. Mr. Clint, yes, insanity does. It does eventually sort of go away by itself at a slow rate, right? And I think that's helped as your colonist. If your colony is self-sustaining, then it will gradually lower the amount of insanity just because your colonist is constantly eating enough, and he's like got, if your colony's in okay shape, then he's got a bed, and he's got food and stuff, all of which make him a little bit happy. Plus also like stuff like the presence of soldiers, and maybe you built a church and stuff. Yeah, I hope there's more culty stuff because I haven't seen a cult murder spree in so long. I was debating. Oh, oops! I haven't assigned anyone to the carpentry. I was debating starting this colony before the stream, just because the first hour of any colony is like slow and doesn't reflect the most interesting part. It doesn't reflect the most interesting part of the game, which is when you don't have enough colonists and you have to balance production between different workshops, and you're starting to produce metal goods and stuff. And that's like a couple of hours into the game, which is a point we'll probably not reach if we start a new colony. Yes, so I've got a crew assigned to the carpentry. Need to make some planks, and because I have bolts of cloth, I'm going to order up 7 cots, and maybe I'll build a barracks to put the cots in. I think I mentioned this in one of my YouTube episodes, but also possibly the previous stream. Right now, barracks supersede housing in all respects. First of all, you have to build a barracks to maintain a military crew, but also the barracks has no interior module, so you might as well fill it up with cots. So if you're going to build between cots and lower class housing, like, of course you're going to build a barracks because you can build it for your military crew, and you can also fill it with cots. Whereas your lower class house can only hold cots. Random news: rumor has it poets are cut from the game. Oh, really? Oh, why? I like them as a source of prestige, right? A nice sort of thematic mechanism. All right, let's see. So the carpentry is underway. I actually should queue up some of these loading bay doors as well. I always forget to build those. 2x2 barracks. Yeah, I guess I could build the mini barracks, right? But instead, I'll use my barracks as my cot holder. Now, I'm not going to put it I guess I could put it adjacent to the field because it doesn't need to be adjacent to the stockpile. So it can be part of my defensive wall. I want it to have an interesting shape. But of course, giving an interesting shape makes it kind of hard to stuff in cots. So, right, let's put a door here, and I'm going to put a door here. Alright, I know I've got 7 cots on the way, so I may as well place cots now. One. How do you guys feel about the new module placer? Like, I like that it's much neater and they snap to the face of the squares instead of to the intersections. Oh, incoming workers. Good, good. But it does, because those blue blocks are on, raise them a little bit up the ground. They're actually not directly on the squares, which makes, if they're in front of other objects, it makes it kind of weird. Also, they don't turn red when they overlap, so I'm like, that doesn't seem right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, can't put it there. Okay, I'll worry about that later. And I'm going to queue up some windows. Something very therapeutic about just plunking down windows. I've done a couple more windows just so we have a better condition than 0. I mean, the module placer is better than it was. It's tidier and it's less prone to bugginess, and it doesn't crash when you accidentally try to place a module outside of a building. So it's more stable, right? And maybe the UI, like the graphical interface of it, could be tidier, but it's functional, I guess. And it's better. It's better than it was. All right, kitchen is just waiting on those ovens. Oh, I said I'd move some guys into the... Alright, who do I have here in the workshop? You know what I really like? You click on a workshop, and there's a button on here somewhere to focus on the workshop as it appears in the workroom menu. Because as it stands, if I'm like, who works in the workshop? This is not very handy. I guess I could do this, but obviously if I'm looking to see who's working in the workshop and why they're not working, I'm going to click on the workshop first. And all I get is their name. So I have to remember their name, click on the workroom menu, and then just scroll up and down to find their exact name. And then from there I have to maybe click on the overseer to focus on him, right? Okay, how are we doing for... We've got a ton of beetle meat. How many beetles did we kill? How come we have 27 beetle meat? Alright, what can the carpentry make? I guess I'll make a spice rack ahead of time. Just when I want to start making middle class food. And here night is a little bit boring. I'm just oh, Agamemnon Outgrave. He's standing in a tree. That's good. They're arguing about cults with Zachariah. So everyone starts off really happy. Can't click on Agamemnon. There we go. I think it's been my observation that people come to the colonies, or at least your starting colonies, start out very happy, almost maximum happy. And then inevitably everyone's happiness drops to about 25%, and maybe another emotion becomes their foremost. And then as you start building industry up again and you start making food regularly and cots and stuff, their happiness grows again over time. And unless something really bad happens to your colony, eventually they'll just become their happiness will increase without end. Just waiting for the sun to rise so people get to work. What's this? Cots? Cots, okay. There's a lot of wood here, so I might not have to grow bamboo here in the tropics. Huh. Forest meat. We didn't kill that, did we? No. Actually, there's a lot of beetle meat here I did not personally kill. Okay, so how are we doing on the jobs list? Not too many jobs. I could probably queue up something new. Let's get rid of this tree, actually. Maybe I want to get rid of these trees as well. Achilles. Achilles is just hauling. Zachariah is doing my farming. So you know how when you assign work crews from the work crew list, you've got, they get grayed out, right? Or the manila becomes slightly darker manila, like Ellsworth Golden Thatch here. I would like crews that are assigned to farming also to be grayed out that way, so I know they're assigned somewhere. Because if I'm looking at my work crew menu for crews that have no assignment or whatever, like it looks like Zachariah Ironboot is not assigned to anything. He doesn't have the workshop button. The only indication I have that he's farming is that occasionally his task will be farming. But if he's not, because it's nighttime or he's whatever, he's on strike or something, even that won't indicate. Like the task will say idling or gossip or whatever, it won't say farming. So I have no indication on the work crew menu that he is farming. That's a bit of a bugbear of mine. Just a convenience thing. Yeah, the job filter button could use some love, I think. Sometimes it updates instantly and sometimes it doesn't. Like when you assign a crew to farming, turns off all other job filters, so they only farm, but it doesn't update in real time. So they're all light, as if they're all enabled, but they're not. If you refresh the worker menu, then it will accurately reflect that they can't do any other jobs. Yeah, what's wrong with Ellsworth? Aren't you happy? Happy enough? Well, let's see. There's nothing actively making him sad, I guess. Maybe, well, the presence of soldiers is actually making him less happy, but it'll also make him less afraid, so that's probably a good trade-off. And I need the soldiers anyway. I think the other thing that's making him unhappy is that he hasn't slept in some time. But he has become a more skillful carpenter. If you guys would build this building faster, you would have some beds. This is not my fault. Oh, we've got a stove. All right, Achilles Brazenworth, I guess. So you can be our cook. I like to have my cooks do nothing but cook, so I leave them with the current filter settings. And for now, say a minimum of 10 food. I'll worry about finer control over the food later, but at least they'll be able to start processing. Oh, the corn harvest came in. It's corn and meat into food. Actually, I queued up a... Oh, there's the autosave. I think I queued up the spice rack in the carpentry. So I can place it in the kitchen. Maybe I should have turned off the autosave. Okay, there's a spice rack on the way, so I may as well place the spice rack module just so it doesn't sit around in my inventory uselessly. Oh, these trees are annoying. Forget it, I'm gonna put the spice rack over here. Yeah, let's see. Actually, all of my flax is also spoken for, so I should probably also start a second farm. To start on flax. I guess I Now, the place where I put my secondary farm is not important right now, but it may eventually be important, because I want it to be inside. I might switch over to food production eventually, right? Here we go. And just for the sake of aesthetics, I guess I'll clear out this terrain. Flax. Alright, now I need a second farm crew. I guess Livuetta wood. That seems... yeah. Alright, you're in charge of the flax. The intemperate guards. They are... Oh, they're... They really like to eat and drink. Man, they're not going to be... I'm probably not going to get to alcohol production. Victoria Mapple's violent crew. Ooh, look at this. She's brutish, fishy behavior, and she wants to try probably human meat. But I think this is the morbid desire, which means she might want to try human meat, but also long pork, but also fishman meat. What's Livuetta? Let's see. She's xenophobic. Likes to hunt. She would actually not make a bad soldier. Maybe she can be my next. If I build a second barracks and I have enough population, I don't need more overseers. I suspect Livuetta would make a good soldier, except that she wants to start a cult. Ellsworth's golden thatch. They're lazy. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why his work shifts went down briefly. Zachariah Iron Boot. Brutish, industrious. Achilles, easily influenced, and wants to make friends, and wants to... This is a weird icon. Wants to get his hands on some strong medicine, which probably means like opium. Still no beds for you, colonists, because you haven't built the barracks. Or I guess all the materials are here. Look at all these modules ready to go. What are you lazy colonists doing? Actually, I've got a spare cot now that I think of it. I've only placed 6 here, but I have 7 in stock. So I might as well put you in here. And I'll give you a window to accompany. So we'll just wait here for the night to end. Unforked asks, so when a desire is fulfilled, do they get extra happiness? I'm not sure about that. I mean, it's not reflected in their memories, so it's kind of hard to say. After, like, when the desire gets fulfilled, it turns gray, right? Like, to indicate that it's been fulfilled. So if Victoria Maple ever eats long pork, this icon will turn into a grayscale version of the same icon. But it doesn't become a memory, like, fulfilling the desire doesn't become a memory. She might actually have a memory about eating meat, which will show its effect on her emotional state. But I don't know. Frankly, I don't know if fulfilling a desire affects emotions. I'm not getting a lot of beetles here. By about this point in the last stream, I had this unending stream. I had a rush of like 3 beetles very first thing that happened, and then like I had a couple other beetle invasions over the next couple of days. Oh, 2 more workers, excellent, and an overseer. Oh, someone's finally building the barracks. Barracks slash lower class bunkhouse. Is anyone cooking? Okay, we've got maize chowder in the works and stew. All right, what's the next thing I need? I guess I can start on the textile workshop, or maybe the barber shop. I'm guessing here my soldiers aren't going to see too much action. Oh, speaking of which, since I got some immigrants, let's beef up the soldiers a little bit. So I'm going to start the textile workshop instead. And hopefully that's done by the time we start getting the flax crop in. So I guess I'll put you over here. Again, the flax workshop can be very tiny because it only needs to be big enough to hold the workbench. But if I make it a little bit bigger, I can cram in like nice furniture and probably also a couple of cots. I'm going to build a couple of workbenches in here, which means I have to remember to queue them up in the carpentry. Only one person can work on a workbench at a time, so I don't mind jamming them up against a wall, because each workbench has two work points on either side, of which only one will ever be used. So one of you here and one of you here. Let's get some windows in here. That'll do for now. Bandits arrived. 2 bandits. I'm not too worried about them. We'll just shoot them on sight. So the assets for the minim gun turret and a bunch of other stuff like more elaborate fortifications and also like the fancy modules and stuff that currently have no function. That artwork has been in the game for like over a year. I think when the game first launched into early access, that artwork was already there. You could, in fact, even I think you started with a Clockwork Knight, although the Clockwork Knight did not do anything. Right? It was effectively a statue, but it existed as a 3D model, and you could rotate around it and stuff. Yeah, I'm sure the Minim machine gun is a play on the Maxim machine gun, which was a period, I believe, it was a World War I era machine gun. It's like belt-fed, and it was heavily used in trench warfare, I think. Yeah, I think that's how it worked, right? I believe it was an English gun. Okay, has anyone built the spice rack? Nope. Busy sawing planks, although... How are we doing for commodities? Oh, we're completely out of stone. Although I've got stone queued. And we're doing okay for timber. Probably use some more. Again, that's on its way. Farm, construct, mine surface nodes. Nobody is doing it. And why is that? I have 2 crews not doing anything, although they have no employees, so really it's just 2 colonists not doing anything. Look at all this food, though. Yeah, in addition to... Like, given the current state of the game, I can't see what use Steam Knights will have. Already your colonists and just regular soldiers can handle almost any threat, right? Fishmen, bandits. As long as you approximately meet the... So if you have the same number of guards as you have bandits, you'll probably win most of the time. And guards can handle more fishmen than guards. So if you have a larger force of fishmen, guards can probably still drive them off. And Obeliskins are tough, but not so tough that I think you need a super unit like Clockwork Knight. So maybe super big invasions like we used to get. Like, there's 44 fishmen attacking me, which is a thing that used to happen straight out of early access, or when first introduced in early access. Fishmen, the rate at which fishmen attacked you was governed by an algorithm, basically. There would be just for something to do. It wasn't reflective of what the devs eventually wanted for the game, but it was like fish. There was a value called fish anger, and that would increment up every day there was not a fishman attack. Or if you did something like killing fishmen or stealing their eggs, that would also increase fish anger. So when the fish anger value passed a certain threshold, New overseer. Then the fishmen would attack with however many, and the amount they had of fishmen who attacked you was also determined by fish anger and the amount of time since the last one. So the longer it had been since your last fishman attack, the bigger the invasion would come. So when fishmen attacked, like they would just come in increasingly huge waves. It was small, like 3 or 4 fishmen. There were more and more and more. And if you were really good, eventually you were just playing until you were overwhelmed by the massive number of fishmen. And that made a lot of us early players we played very, very conservatively. We built our settlements into literal boxes of impassable walls. We planted cabbage just outside the walls, because fishmen would stop attacking you to stomp on cabbages, right? So people build long, thin strips of cabbage plantations so that the fishmen would stop at the cabbage, and then my soldiers who were just inside the wall which had enough time to kill them with their guns. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new stuff as well. I think a lot of people are looking forward to dynamics. Like, if you'll remember, the carpentry used to have, in addition to just these like workbenches, it used to also have a power saw that you could place as a module. And I don't think the power saw was mechanically different from these workbenches, but I always placed them because they looked cool. But the thing is, they were removed, and the dev note at the time was power saws are intended for use with dynamics. So when you're able to supply power to the carpentry through... Actually, we can kind of see it now. Maybe I'll place one of these cosmetic modules. So we look at some of these fancy ones, like the dynamo, or the power lathe and stuff like that, or the steam distributor, right? Those are all sources of energy for your modules. Let's see if I can build a cosmetic dynamo here. Should only cost one timber. No, fish people could not go through doors. Fish people have never been able to open doors. I believe even now they're unable to. If the door is open, they will occasionally go in. And I think they can enter through loading bay doors, but not these single doors like this one here, simple doors. Yeah, so I am looking forward to dynamics and conduits and stuff. I think that's a significant part of the initial appeal or the initial pitch of the game. That's still, I gather it's in the works, right? But it's not in yet. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to. So another thing the devs said about obeliskins was that your interactions with them were not supposed to be just colonists versus monsters. There are supposed to be more subtle interactions, and one example they gave was obeliskin modules. And the joke I made at the time was that would lead to like eldritch cabinetry. And maybe what that means is, I don't know, it'll build goods faster, but at the cost of sanity or whatever, right? But presumably that means obeliskins or maybe cultists are a faction you can also be friendly with. So we've got some beds in here. Hopefully everyone will stop complaining about lack of sleep. I'm not going to queue up any more beds until I get some flax in, I guess. Alright, what's the next thing I need to build? I guess, do I need a ceramics workshop? Actually, do I have any brick? I don't. I definitely need a ceramics workshop. I'm not going to build a naturals office until I need to find hematite later, maybe? I'm not going to build a trade office for now. There's no pressing reason to build a barber shop. Alright, ceramics workshop it is. It would be convenient for the ceramics workshop to be directly adjacent to the stockpile, but it would also be nice to have it as part of the fortifying wall that's protecting my fields. Also, the ceramics workshop will not produce stuff as regularly as, say, the carpentry. So I'm going to put it over here. So despite my effort to squeeze it in between the tree and the field, I think it's going to cause this tree to be chopped down. Alright, what modules does the ceramics workshop need? It needs a kiln. Ah, these trees are blocking my view. Or 2 kilns in my case. Which means 2 windows. There we go. Might as well forage these. Like, yeah, unforked. I do remember the dev blogs from like a couple of years ago. I mean, any project will see significant change over, I don't know, a couple of years, right? So always take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, the developers, what the developers want for the game is always constrained by time and resources and things. Yeah, it would be nice if we could, madness was reflected in maybe extra things you could do. Maybe there are special projects or research in the lab or something. This food is taking up a lot of... Do I not have anybody... I guess everybody is too busy doing things to stack any duplicate goods. So this is the way the stockpiles used to look before they put in the little bit of code that let colonists stack like objects. And like stockpiles would just fill up super fast because each square of the stockpile would only hold one thing, and which meant you had to have enormous stockpiles to hold all your stuff. But with stacking, now you can get away with just one maximum size stockpile for most of the game, or at least until like 40-50 colonists. Textile workshop is, well, the building's complete. Okay, oh, starting to get flax in. So the way the food is balanced now, with the doubled production from cooked food and easier time farming, like I could probably get away with this size farm and kitchen crews respectively for much of the early game, and at least until I have about 20 colonists and probably more. And then if I get one more guy in the kitchen and one more guy on the cornfield, those two squads of 3 colonists respectively would probably tide me over until like 50 colonists. More colonists. Yeah, if there's no room in the stockpile, colonists, they won't try to put them in the stockpile. They'll just drop them wherever they are. Actually, I'm going to need more space for beds. Well, I've got a lot of jobs pending, and I would like to leave at least 2 crews unassigned, just to do all my hauling, which means really I've only got this maybe 1 more crew for assignment. So whichever, I guess when the textile mill gets finished, I'm going to assign an overseer there, and then I'm going to have to wait for more immigration. Nighttime is a chime to check our stocks. Got a fair amount of logs. I'm a little bit concerned about stone. Stone is kind of hard to find in the jungle. Like sometimes you get lucky and you start off near a bunch of stone. Sometimes you don't. The same with hematite. No cooked food stockpile ever. I used to actually separate my stockpiles into food and non-food. Oh, hello, Raidesh. Yeah, I used to separate my initial stockpiles into food and non-food. Oh, I can see baskets of sand, like drifting into the colony. Let's see if I can assign some people to my emergency militia. Fish person sighting. I like that we no longer have the option to just be friendly with the fish people right away. So what's the option here? I can deny they exist, or it looks like they just walked past town. Man, I really wanted that sand. Or I could shoot them on sight. It'll be more exciting if I shoot them on sight, I think. Yeah, I don't know how to be friendly with the fish people anymore. Like, it used, for several revisions now, it used to be, you had three options, right? Ignore them, shoot them on sight, or like try to talk to them, and then that would open up another branch of options that was like then they would like get into minor skirmishes with your colonists. Oh, here's the autosave. And then you'd have the option to treat them sternly or just let them do their thing. And if you treated them sternly, then sometimes they would stop being bad, but sometimes that would break into open conflict. And I liked that. So I don't know how I would like that. I gather it's in here somewhere. I don't know how to be friendly with the fish people anymore. Oh, I've got a new overseer. Yeah, I think personally I found it's just more convenient now to just always be hostile to the fish people. Plus, you can eat them. I'm finding these extra cosmetic modules have a very low priority. If you've got other projects on the go, they never get built. You think there's big plans in the tubes for fish folk? I don't know, have you heard anything? Okay, how am I doing for... Well, still waiting on the modules. Actually, I need to keep an eye out for more sources of stone. Maybe there's some here in the trees? Maybe? Nope. Alright. Well, since my military isn't doing anything, I'm going to use them to scout for now. I think the next thing I might build is a naturalist office, just so the naturalists will auto-explore. Only once have I witnessed a fishy transformation. That was like after a confluence of extremely rare events. It is so uncommon. And even now, I believe the various things that will allow a fishy transformation, some of them have been removed temporarily from the game. So the way it happened for me, I had somebody dig up a fishy artifact, which drove them like mad. And then that person also had the fishy trait. So when I eventually built the laboratory, I was able to assign that person to the lab and have them research the fishy idol. And that catalyzed the Fishman transformation. So researching fishy idols and researching whatever has temporarily been removed. So the only function of the lab is to generate research points for your research projects, which is still pretty cool, right? So we have malachite here. Ceramics workshop, still not done. See, they chopped down that palm tree, coconut palm. Modules in the textile mill, still not done. Oh, fanny lungs. Oh, jungle fowl, go get it. Go get it. Hunt, hunt. There we go. So it looks like rallying to a point has a higher priority than hunting animals. And on a semi-related note, jungle fowl is a single word. It does not require a hyphen. It's just something I discovered as I was editing the Clockwork Empires wiki, entering jungle fowl into the bestiary. They've started stacking the stew. Well, that's good. Oh, I've got the spice rack built, so I can start building sausages. Let's say a minimum amount of... Let's just keep 3 for now, and my overseers will occasionally get to eat sausage, and that will hopefully make them a little bit happier. Farmers stew, I'm not going to... Now, although we've got a lot of food, I don't think... Oh, okay, we have a ton of food. Yeah, I think we can afford to have... We can afford to start making farmers stew as well. So hopefully that, in addition to the massive swath of windows I'm going to put everywhere, will keep people happy. How much flax do I actually need? 12. You know what? I'm going to start... Nope. I was going to say wanted to start making medium beds, the practical single beds for my overseers, but this still isn't built yet. Stupid lazy colonists. Oh, you're right. I don't have ingredients for farmers stew. I guess I could make chilies. You know, I'll make farmers stew when I switch over the production of the flax field. So when the textile mill gets up and running, and I assign a work crew there, I'll have them consume my stores of flax to make cloth, which I will make beds. Then I will switch over the flax field to grow chilies, and then I will be able to make chili and corn farmer's stew. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how competent I've played this game a lot, I guess. So through industrious trial and error, I guess I've discovered the safest way to play. I would hope that the game would be flexible enough to support people wanting to play different ways. Like I don't. Well, actually, we had this discussion with on my last stream as well, where like chili and chili is farmer's stew. Maybe it is. The illustration for farmer's stew shows, what is that? Cabbage, pumpkin, corn, and chilies. Maybe the description for farmer's stew needs to be a little bit more verbose. I haven't looked in the food scripts for a while now. Cannibalism is great, but like food production is so easy now in the current revision, which is being changed very soon, right? Probably the next couple of revisions. I don't see cannibalism very often anymore. I'm just gonna let the colony run for a little bit because I can. I guess I could start making bricks, which means I need to start harvesting this clay. So I guess, do I have enough overseers? Okay, Victoriana Maple. Wait, is Livuetta a farmer? See here, I'm like, is Livuetta a farmer? I'm just relying on my memory. Yes, she farms that field, so I don't want to assign her to the ceramics workshop. Okay, so Victoriana Maple is going to be the ceramics workshop crew. Although when they're not making bricks, because bricks honestly don't need to be made that often, I'm going to let them do all the other stuff. When they are making bricks, I want you to maintain a level of 5. Okay, soldiers all asleep. That's a super awkward place to. I'll take a nap right underneath this rolling door. Let's see. Okay, so if I assign Enola to the textile workshop, then again, you don't need to make textiles that often, so I'm comfortable enabling all the subsidiary jobs, and I'll still have 2 crews unassigned just to do all my hauling. Ominous Dreams. Who had ominous? Victoriana Maple, my new textile mill operator. Ominous dream about a mysterious city, lost beneath the waves. Fair enough. Proper city planning is important. Where's Victoriana Maple now? Oh, she is maximum insane. What? How did that happen? Oh. She witnessed the infinite terror and malinvestness of the cosmos, and she's infecting Isaiah Brazenmud, who is also almost maximum insane. He's hearing maddening whispers. Oh, these two. I hope they form a cult together instead of forming competing cults. Because I kind of want to see cult formation. But if you've got 2 clearly insane people and they try to both form cults, then obviously they exclude each other as mutual cult members, which means each of them needs to find an additional 2 colonists. Which unfortunately, ironically, a greater prevalence of cult activity means you have a lower chance of seeing cults, if that's the situation. What I'm saying is, cultists need to get their act together. I guess the next thing I'm going to build, we're looking good on the job front, right? I'm going to build a naturalist office now. So I don't need to worry about micromanaging my soldiers around to do the exploration. Naturalists do not need to be adjacent to the stockpile. I think I'll save that face of the stockpile for the metalworks. I'll put the naturalist office out here so it can form part of my boundaries around my precious crops. And eventually I'm going to start building walls in between my buildings so I can have a contiguous wall to hold off the all of the beetle swarms. So, Naturalist Office, one door in, and one door out. The Naturalist Office doesn't actually need any modules, which I always found kind of weird. There'll be another place I can put beds, I guess. Yeah, cultism, oh, there goes the autosave again. Cults are significantly harder to get up and running now because basically madness decreases over time, right? Shortly, well, I would say a year after early access launched, or maybe a bit less than that. A few months after early access launched, cult activity was rampant. Like you would, the bunkhouse? Are you talking about the my barracks here, Oliveria? I mean, there's a lot of windows. I guess there could be more. Barracks quality is comfortable. 2 more workers, good enough. Naturalist office is complete, despite not having any doors. I don't have enough overseers, though. I want to keep... let's see, the last 2 assignments were the textile workshop and also the ceramics workshop. So when I get another overseer, I think maybe I'll assign him as a naturalist. I guess I could cram on more windows. It's not like I can cram in any more modules. Let's give you closed windows, so you can sleep during the day, I guess. Still waiting on those modules. Oh, god damn it. The reason my textile mill doesn't have any workbenches is because I forgot to queue them up at the carpentry. Here we go. 2 workbenches. And then I'll be able to start making beds. So I've got 13 flax. Maybe I'll wait until for this building, or this plant to get harvested. Because it looks like the next one, then I'm going to switch over to... Actually, how am I doing? We still haven't consumed all the meat, actually. So I'm going to wait until we've consumed all the meat, which is getting turned into sausages here at the workshop, which, of course, my overseers love to eat. When I'm judging how much food a colony has, I guess I could click on random colonists and see if they have memories of eating and stuff. But I figure if there's food in the stockpile, that means everyone has eaten their fill and they still haven't consumed all the food. So it's like a quick and dirty indication that I've still got food. Oh, oven damage. All it needs is probably a 1 plank or 1 rock. Textile mill still standing idle thanks to a snarl and oversight in the production chain. I believe Muriel Fossyjaw is going to make me some bricks. Yes, she is. So, interesting little tidbit. The surname Fossy... so, first of all, I don't believe Fossyjaw is a real-world surname. However, that is a reference to a thing that happened in around the time this game is set. So, kind of Victorian England, when people were discovering new elements and minerals, but didn't quite understand what they did. So, people quite early on discovered that... you could use radioactive elements or things like phosphorus in the production of like watch hands or things you wanted to glow, and people would like it was a great era for like snake oil salesmen, right? So they would sell like, here's a radium drink for you, or look at this lamp, it glows in the dark, because they made them with extremely dangerous elements. So Fossy Jaw was a thing that afflicted people who worked with I believe phosphorus in an unprotected environment. And what phosphorus does is it replaces calcium in your bones, and it never goes away. So often what would happen is that particularly young ladies who worked in watchmaking factories. They were often employed painting phosphorus onto the hands of their watches. And what they do is they would lick the tips of their brushes to get all the bristles to a fine point, and then they would dip them into their like little jar or inkwell of phosphorus paint, and then paint them on, and then they would lick the brushes again. Anyway, a lot of those ladies died of mouth cancer, or their jaws literally disintegrated because the phosphorus would leach the calcium out of their, or the phosphorus was taken up by their bodies and used in the bones instead of calcium, and it was horrible. Horrible, horrible pictures. I don't recommend you Google up Fossey jaw, but it's there if you're curious. So that is the etymology of the surname Fossey jaw in the game Clockwork Empires. Oh, I've got a new overseer. Okay, so I've got enough overseers now. I can assign a dude or lady to be my naturalist. Of my 3 remaining overseers, who would be best as a naturalist? Elias has a pioneering spirit, which does not mean he would be a good naturalist, but it does mean he likes chopping up. He would be a good naturalist because pioneering spirit means he likes chopping things up from meat, which a naturalist is often called on to do when dissecting fish people. Redigor loves beetles. He's romantic, a staunch traditionalist, and Philomena, materialistic. Okay, so of these 3, obviously Elias would make the best naturalist. Now, I often take away a naturalist employee because I don't know what a naturalist employee actually does. Often the only job I see them doing is doing the stand near overseer job, which means they just wander around with him as he's off exploring nodes and things. So I'm going to reassign his employee to Redigor. And I'm not even going to bother decorating the naturalist office because he's so infrequently in it. I didn't get a new overseer Aliveria. I got an additional overseer. So I had 2, but I'll always, most of the time I want to leave 2 overseers free to do all my hauling and stuff. So I was waiting to get another overseer, which I just did. So that gave me 3 overseers, and I assigned one of them to the naturalist office. Okay. Oh, good. The textile workshop is working, so I'm going to say make cloth bolts. I've got each practical single bed costs 2, so I'm going to say make 3 practical single beds for now. And oh, these are okay. I'm going to wait till these are all harvested, and then I'm going to start growing chilies. You know what? We've still got meat. And we've still got sausages. I'm just going to keep growing flax for now. I got, well, it's not my first overseer immigration. I've had several since I started, right? Unforked biome. Oh, you're talking about biomes, right? Not biomass. First of all, let's hunt this beetle. So the official name for the temperate biome is actually temperate Colorado. The jungle is, I believe it's called, maybe its proper name is tropical jungle. So the tropical jungle has elements of swampy biomes in it. And the temperate Colorado biome has, I think, like high mesa. So there's a bunch of biomes in there. And so you can't really see what other, like I think the artwork is in there. If you really want to dive into the files, you can see there's texture art for different types of land. I don't know what their names are. On the rare occasions that I've been able to see other animals that whose artwork exists in the game, but they're not implemented yet for players. Also, there's a beetle eating my flax. You can also see there's a wider variety of animals. So occasionally the devs publish like a version of the game with the dev tools enabled, and a lot of those dev tools have buttons for manually spawning in other animals. So there's a wide variety of giant turtles. There's a variety of shaggier aurochs. There's some... Oh my goodness, I can't I can't remember all of them. I'm sorry, but there's a bunch of other animals, and they have behaviors and they have art, and they function the way you would expect. They're just not in the game yet. But so the shaggier aurochs would seem to imply there's at least a cold weather climate, right? Some kind of, I don't know, Arctic tundra or something. Let's. Ooh. Apparently, Philomena Collier thinks I've been doing well, and I get 5 standing with all civilized factions because of her glowing report. Of course, I don't have a foreign office, so we can't see that. I think it's still recorded, even if I don't have a foreign office. Poets and capitalists, right, Ash? So those are aristocrats, and I haven't seen a lot of aristocrats lately. I think they've been removed, right? Or they're just temporarily not in the game for now. I kind of liked the idea that having aristocrats around, they were a burden to the colony, but they would improve your reputation. I liked poets. I was telling the stream earlier, I liked poets as a mechanic to increase or decrease the prestige of your colony based on whatever. I mean, poets used to write poems, not that we saw them, but they were reported back to the Empire based on their experiences in the colony. And the same thing goes for pictures. So I think that was a feature that was kind of temporarily in, where pictures would, the topic of a picture would reflect the experiences of the person who made the picture. So they've been having a terrible time and they're getting eldritch visions and stuff. They might paint a picture of a fish ban. I believe you can still start with aristocrats. They're not entirely removed from the game, but you never get them as immigration anymore. Like even one of those starting loadouts is the one that starts with aristocrats. Oh, do aristocrats only arrive when you build upper class housing now? I guess that makes sense. Maybe I never see them because I never build upper class housing. And I would keep on cramming my cots into workshops and barracks and things. By the way, have you built... the practical single bed. Nope, have not built any yet. Are you building a practical single bed now, Enola? There we go, okay. So I'm going to need a building. I'm going to try building an upper class house. Just to see if I can attract an aristocrat. Again, I don't need the house to be adjacent to the stockpile, so I'm going to build it as part of my field wall instead. These are freaking expensive, so I'm going to make it kind of small. Planks, brick, stone. Should be doable, since I'm now actively producing brick. Modules. There we go. Ornate door, I guess. These modules, though, they require like gold and stuff, so I'm super not going to build those, or I might give him like crappy, common quality windows. And once that middle class bed gets built, I'm going to put it in the upper class house. And that's another thing. You can mix and match buildings and you can jam your lower class house full of upper class beds. And I don't think the colonist cares where the bed is. It's just the quality of the bed. Now, middle class house. There we go. I was building a practical single bed. I believe I had 3 queued up, actually. There we go. I do like the colonists who sleep in beds high above their station. So like a commoner who sleeps in a middle class or upper class bed, he enjoys it very much, so his happiness goes up, but he also gets a little bit afraid because he's like intimidated by the splendor of this bed. Excuse me a moment. I'm gonna grab a drink here. Nighttime is a little bit boring. I mean, this is when cult stuff should be happening. And actually, as somebody else mentioned at some point, I really missed the Malfeasant Claw Bulb. I really liked the Malfeasant Claw Bulb for crop mechanics. They were an interesting monkey wrench. And I don't know if not everybody remembers the malfeasant claw bulb. Basically, they were cult plants, right? They would periodically, if you had gibs lying on your fields, or if you had cultists running around, some of your crops, a very small number of your crops, would start growing as malfeasant clawbulb, which is like a eldritch plant with weird spiky leaves and stuff. And um, just its mere presence would upset your colonists. So seeing it or being in proximity to it would make them unhappy, right? Of course, in the normal course of working on a field, your farmers would uproot the clawbulb to destroy it, which rids you of its persistent effect. However, and I have two workers incoming, clawbulbs, digging up a clawbulb would actually increase the insanity of the person digging it up, which meant however you dealt with a clawbulb, it was bad. It would promote sort of the formation of cults. Yeah, and I like that they only grew up if they were actively planted there by cultists or if you had a lot of gibs on your field. Giblets? 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 It's giblets, right? So I guess it's gibs. Anyway, yeah. So claw bulbs, right? Claw bulbs were prominent around the same time the cult mechanics were kind of new, so they were unbalanced and